All right, so does this sound familiar? You're pumping gas, but before you select the grade, you got to think twice. You've used the ethanol blend. Can you switch to something else? You've looked at that and said, well, I'll try something else.
Right, and you're sitting there at the pump like, it's one of the questions that we got in from one of you at home, and thankfully this fellow is here to help out.
Peter Fink, he returns from certified transmission. Good to see you, Peter.
Hi, Peter.
You had a good weekend?
Good to see you. Oh, definitely. Great weekend, you know. So, rained a little bit Sunday morning, but, you know, after that, it cleared up. Nice day and everything.
Yeah,
so,
it has been pleasant.
Always got to look at the positive side and make the most of it.
That's right.
You know?
Right. Our lawns got watered, and then we had fun after that.
That's right.
Let's get into this first question. Gene is up first. He says, my 2016 Subaru Forester will be garaged for 3 months while I travel. And then he goes on to say, is it better to disconnect the battery or use a trickle charger?
Great question. Okay. Trickle chargers are by far the best way to go anytime a vehicle is going to sit. To me, if a vehicle is going to sit over 30 days, it's a good idea to get a trickle charger on it. We always have great intentions of sometimes starting a car and we'll go do this or go drive it, and then that day doesn't come. Okay. If you unhook the battery, especially on these new cars anymore, then you're going to lose all the presets. Okay. Not just to your radio or seat, which is kind of annoying, but you can fix that. But actually the engine and transmission and everything else loses its presets, and so it has to relearn. So it's going to run funny, it's going to shift funny, it's going to do a lot of different things on a new car. And when I say a new car, I'm talking approximately 2002 and newer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I mean, new is 14
Yeah.
years. Okay,
right.
I mean,
Right.
you know, so definitely don't want to disconnect that battery. Not a good thing to do on a car. Just to call it 2000 and newer, you really don't want to do that anymore.
Gene
okay?
must be very organized, because I just let my car sit in the garage for 3 months. I wouldn't even do anything.
The ramifications
You know
later
what?
on.
It's amazing it'll start actually, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of them. I hear a lot of people that have cars that they sit for 4, 5, 6 weeks. They won't start, okay, and stuff, because they're keeping alive all these other things on your car, depending how many computers you've got. And I mean, there's a lot of them this day and age. And I mean, so if they really do sit that long, that's pretty amazing that yours will start. Okay,
yeah.
It's awesome. Okay, Gene. Doug is up next, and
right.
he asks, I have a 2007 GMC Yukon. For whatever reason, my air conditioner blower in the front has stopped blowing air. I've replaced the resistor and it still does not blow air. Do you think the blower needs to be replaced as well?
Well, like always, you don't want to just throw parts at it, anything, okay? You want to test it. You want to check it, okay? Now, I'm assuming we say the blower doesn't work. That means it's not coming out of the defrost or the vents or down by your feet, because that's a different problem, okay, if it's not switching from your vents. So I'm assuming it doesn't blow any air, okay? First thing, of course, is you want to use a voltmeter as the proper way, but if you got a test light, voltmeters, the low-end ones might be $30, $40, okay? A test light is $10, okay? And in the old days, we used a test light, and at least it's a good starting point. You want to see, the bottom line is you want to see when you turn the switch on, do you have electricity to the blower, okay? If there's power there, then it is the blower and you need a blower, okay? But if there's no power there, then you got to start back tracing the circuit, okay? And I mean, truthfully, I always like to start with the fuse first. I assume we did that, okay? He said he replaced a resistor on this. GM has resistors in there. Usually, if it's the high circuit is on a different circuit than actually low, medium, okay, and whatever. Sometimes I got 3 or 4 settings, but the high circuit's always on its own circuit. So if it doesn't work on anything, you either got a switch, but that's probably bad, or you have a fuse blown or a bad wire or something like
Can
this.
a diagnostic test, you talk to us sometimes about that for other issues, can something like that pinpoint this better than just sort of chasing it?
Well, any problem you always want to diagnose it. You don't want to throw parts at it, okay? But this one has 2 circuits, so literally with no test equipment, you can just go to the high side. If it blows on the high side and not on the low, then you know the blower motor's okay. All right, is what I'm getting.
Right.
But if it don't blow on anything, okay, I doubt that both electrical circuits are bad, is what I guess I'm trying to say, okay? And then it probably is the blower motor. But you want to test it with a voltmeter or a test light, okay?
Get it tested.
And not that they're very expensive, but I don't like throwing parts on stuff, okay? I mean,
see if it works,
it's a waste of money,
Yeah.
okay, on stuff,
For
all right?
sure.
You know, so you want to check it. Anytime you have a problem, it usually always pays to check it, you know? Don't go, my friend had this problem and I put this part on and it fixed it. Doesn't mean that's going to work on your car, okay, and stuff, you you know? So
Yeah.
diagnose. I mean, sometimes people don't like to pay for that, okay? But it's truly the cheapest way to go,
Right,
always, okay? How expensive is a part that you put on that you didn't need, okay? I mean,
Right.
you know.
But there's a lot of gamblers out there.
Oh.
The casinos wouldn't do that well,
Well,
if
if
there
you
were no
want to do
gamblers.
that, if you want to do that, now then put a blower on it.
Roll
and
the
say,
dice.
oh, it's 100,000 miles. It needed it anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You keep making. You're going to build this car brand new then. Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
An expensive fix. Let's get to this third question. Melissa writes, if I have a half a tank of gas with ethanol and I fill the rest of it with regular gas, will that cause any problems? I have a 2006 Jeep Liberty. I think it's a great question because most of us fill up our tanks when we're less than a quarter. If you're like me, I'm more on E, so we're not blending half and half. This is a great question. What do you think, Peter?
Well, good point. You know, we shouldn't run them to E. Okay. You want to use a quarter
I
of the
know.
tank. Okay?
You've told me that before.
A quarter tank. Okay. It saves your fuel pump. Now back to this question. Okay. I assume we're not talking about E85, okay, and stuff, all right? Even E85, long as your vehicle is made for that, then you can blend it at any time. It don't matter if it's full tank, half tank, quarter, or empty, okay? If it's a non-E85, most fuels you buy anymore is 10 or 15% alcohol, okay, or whatever, at the gas pumps. And you can mix it also, okay? Even if your car isn't the E85 car. Again, the question here, I'm assuming means the 10 or 15%, okay? And yes, any car you can mix that with, as long as it's, again, about a 1996 or newer, okay, and stuff.
I love your definition of new cars.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, new cars going back a long time on this fuel, okay? But I mean, you know, I got old classics, okay?
Right.
You don't want to
That's
run
right.
ethanol
right.
in that, okay? You got to
point.
use the 91 premium stuff, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you
Thanks
know,
to
so-
Melissa and Doug and Jean for sending in questions for this visit. If you've got something and you need help, they specialize in transmissions, a certified transmission with 5 locations here in the Omaha area. Thank you, Peter.
Peter.
Always
Yeah.
fun.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
and your question, by the way, the next